Hey, are you one of those annoying people that says their favorite hobby is travel? Does your go bag include a mini toothbrush, a map of the upper and lower plains, and a passport with more weird stamps than a certified philatelist? That's the actual name of a stamp collector, not a... Anyway, well, congratulations! You might be a Horizon Walker. But what is a Horizon Walker? Well, download an interdimensional translator, try not to rip a hole in space and time, and be sure to pack light, because we're a citizen of the worlds.
Wait a minute, I think I left my consciousness in the sixth dimension.
D&D is a game with a lot of layers, to its combat, to its roleplay, and even to its realms. So much so that some of these places are stacked on top of each other like some sort of giant dimensional pancake. And to further this analogy, sometimes the syrup on our short stack of space cake starts to run together, punching holes in those realities and eventually leading to portals to other realms randomly popping up. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing either, as these naturally occurring portals may appear all over, like a portal to the elemental plane of water being at the bottom of the ocean, or another to the elemental plane of fire at the top of a volcano. But these portals can also be finicky and extremely dangerous depending on where they may open or what may open them. Tons of rare creatures not native to the material plane have made their way through these kinds of portals, from monstrous elementals to adorable blink dogs, and this can cause problems for those unfamiliar with their eccentricities. But that's where we come in. The Horizon Walker is the Space Portal Park Ranger, keeping up with and maintaining these areas and occasionally helping their denizens make their way back home if they took a wrong turn in the Feywild and ended up in a water-deep porta-john, which may happen more than you think. But occasionally the thing that pops their head out the whack-a-mole hole of doom is not so friendly and can cause serious harm to the people close by. So when a portal opens, it's up to us to investigate and then decide if we should send that creature home as our new best buddy, or in a box. But first, do you need a break from the headache of planning out another session? Are your DMs full to the brim with players who forgot the important details you meticulously plotted for them? Well, if that sounds all too familiar, you gotta hammer out your next adventure with World Anvil. World Anvil is the best place to set up for all your campaign needs, whether you've been running for years or just getting started, and has all the best tools to create your perfect setting. The best part of your World Anvil experience is just how many tools you have at your disposal, like timelines, map makers, and more. And you can use all of this with over 45 unique RPG systems. And even if you don't play tabletop, you can still have fun with all of World Anvil's custom writing tools to craft the next great novel. So if you'd like to give World Anvil a try, you can do so absolutely free, but if you'd like more tools, worlds, or features, you can drop on down to the link below and get a whole year of World Anvil 51% off by using the code YIMBADND. Once again, that's YMBADND at checkout for 51% off for a year. So hit that link and forge your next adventure with World Anvil. A big thanks to World Anvil for sponsoring the show. And now, back to the video. So you want to learn all the secrets of portals without a robot cracking fat jokes.
Most people emerge from suspension terribly undernourished. I want to congratulate you on beating the odds and somehow managing to pack on a few pounds.
Well, to do that, we need to start out as a ranger. Rangers are a fun mix of martial and magic, and while some of them have trouble living up to expectations, we've been on a hell of a ranger streak lately, so let's see if we can keep the momentum. And that'll start with Favored Foe and Deft Explorer. Favored Foe is a neat little ability letting us figure out the weak points of an enemy so we can focus our attacks on them, adding an additional d4 of damage to the first attack that lands, which increases in damage to a d6 and d8 at level 6 and 14. And Deft Explorer is a suite of buffs like Canny to gain expertise in a skill you're proficient in, as well as learn 2 additional language from your experience as a medieval MIB agent. But it's second level and we can't take on the dangers on the other side of the magic butthole without a fighting style. So I always recommend archery for rangers because it's both thematic and reliable, but 2-weapon fighting will also work great with what we're about to unpack, as well as dueling or defense for a more classic fighter combo. But believe me, we want those sweet rangery spells like Hunter's Mark or Zephyr Strike, which lets you buff damage or mobility or both, and we'll focus on those spells that target us because our save won't be that high anyway. Which leads me right into 3rd level, where you can pick up Primal Awareness, which just adds a bunch of spells to your spell list, some good and some just kind of whatever, but shockingly you may get more use out of the classic ability Primeval Awareness. Don't you just love these naming conventions, guys? It's not confusing at all. But this lets you spend an action and a spell slot to detect the presence of any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead within a mile of yourself for up to a minute. This is really cool for those who are diving into that Horizon Walker flavor, as it will let you tell if any danger has escaped one of the portals you may come across. And I don't usually recommend the older ranger stuff, but this actually suits this subclass surprisingly well. And I even like how it pairs up with our other 3rd level ability, Detect Portal, to spend another action to detect any planar portals within a mile of you as well. Though you can only use this once per short rest, I like the combo a lot, and it really lets you flesh out your Horizon Walker as an expert in this kind of magic, and lead the navigation of the party like an interdimensional Waze. Sorry, interdimensional Google Maps. Interdimensional Waze will probably have you drive straight into a lake of fire.
Can't mean that. There's a lake there.
I think it knows where it is going.
This is
the
lake.
machine
This
knows.
is the lake.
Stop yelling at me.
No, it's
Stop
up there.
yelling.
There's no road here.
But we also become a planar warrior, letting us spend a bonus action to call out a creature you can see within 30 feet, making your next whack against them deal an extra 1d8, turning all of that damage into force. Great for creatures that have resistance to regular weapons, sure, but pairing this with favored foe is a really great way to rack up extra damage. And if that somehow wasn't enough, we also get some Horizon Walker spells, starting with Protection from Evil and Good. An incredible tool for someone who too often has to deal with shitheads from the inner and outer planes, causing any creature that happens to be an aberration, celestial, elemental, fae, fiend, or undead, that list sounds familiar, doesn't it? To have disadvantage on all attacks against you, as well as immunity from being charmed or frightened. But what makes this even better is that this spell is not concentration, so you can keep concentrating on those damage buffs and at high levels, plow through pit fiends like your Doom guy. But we'll speed things up a bit with extra attack at level 5, as well as another spell, and Misty Step is the best choice to get around quickly, letting you teleport 30 feet as a bonus action and not miss a beat, especially with Roving from Deft Explorer at level 6 for 5 extra feet of movement and a climbing and swimming speed just in case those pesky portals are in some precarious positions. 7th level gives us the Ethereal Step, letting you cast the spell Etherealness on yourself as a bonus action, which ends at the end of that same turn. This spell's a little weird, so feel free to read it for yourself, but it can essentially let you move around in the ethereal plane and move through objects for a brief period. But if you're reality hopping in the outer planes, it kinda doesn't seem to work, so maybe be careful if you're in hell and you try to go ghost. Level 8 is where we get Land Stride, so we can high step it through the worst terrain and not lose any movement, as well as get advantage on saves against spells that will slow you down like Entangle. But we're here for that 3rd level Horizon Walker spell, and oh man, I knew I liked this subclass. Haste is amazing, doing all the things a young pseudo-Gish wants, like a +2 to AC, advantage on dex saves, doubled movement, and an additional action to attack, hide, dash, disengage, or whatever this is. Sorry, I just really needed an excuse to use this clip.
Crikey! Stand back, John. Have a go at the size of this beauty.
But haste is one of my favorite spells for a reason, and I even like that there's a risk element to it where if you lose concentration, you'll have to sit out around before you can move because you're just so exhausted. But that's a game changer in just about every fight, letting you blitz into battle, disrupt, and do some damage, and then blitz out unharmed. 10th level gets us Nature's Veil, which is fine. You can now become invisible as a bonus action until the start of your next turn without concentration, potentially giving you a really nice combo with haste, as well as Tireless, which lets you recover from exhaustion over the course of a short rest, which technically we can all do, but unlike me, the Horizon Walker doesn't require an IV drip of espresso to make that happen. But it's Distant Strike at level 11 where we really come online. Now each time we take the attack action, we can also teleport up to 10 feet before each attack to another space, letting you dance around opponents and deliver a nasty flurry. But if you hit 2 different creatures, you also get another bonus attack for free. With haste, that makes 4 attacks per round, which can be combined with your planar warrior and other buffs to blast through waves of enemies. But it's the positioning that's most important here. While pretty tough, rangers aren't always the best at close range combat, and while you can handle yourself in a scuffle, the ability to reposition for essentially free is really nice. Just don't get dizzy with all that jumping around.
Most people vomit the first time.
But that'll get us to level 13 and we'll grab the spell Banishment. Now your familiarity with the planes allows you to send a creature through another dimension, yeeting those baddies directly to another space for a minute if they fail a charisma save. But the best part is if they're already from another plane, like some of those critters we keep talking about, they will stay there as long as you hold concentration for the entire duration. Or if they aren't, wait for the right time to bring them back and let the entire party dogpile until tender. But that'll bring us to Vanish at level 14, which sucks, so we'll skip it and hop to 15th level with Spectral Defense. Now anytime you take damage from a nasty attack, you can spend your reaction to call upon the magics of the planes to deflect it on your behalf, giving you resistance to all of that attack's damage on this turn. And while similar to Uncanny Dodge, this ability lets you shrug off the worst melee enemies can throw at you and comes in very handy if you ever come across an evil paladin of Vecna and they like to play fast and loose with the smites. And with 17th level, we'll get our last spell, Teleportation Circle. A nice spell for getting around, though it takes some time to set up, and allows you to return to any known teleportation circle you've come across. But that will let us wrap up with Feral Senses at level 18 to know the location of any invisible creature within 30 feet of you and can attack you without disadvantage.
He's here. I can smell him.
As well as Foe Slayer to add our Wisdom mod to the attack or damage roll of 1 attack per turn, which is great for racking up even more consistent damage, but way better for making sure you never miss. So, does the Horizon Walker show me a whole new world of possibilities? It's pretty good. The Horizon Walker has a lot going for it, mostly thanks to those cool abilities and a great spell list. Haste is doing some of the heavy lifting here, but Misty Step and Protection from Good and Evil are also powerful tools for this kind of character. And I love your ability to detect portals and distant strikes. I think they're both very thematic and fit the tone of the subclass perfectly. My only complaint really is focus. The subclass seems to want to do a lot, but kinda loses its purpose along the way. For example, your Planar Warrior feature seems to want you to focus enemies down, but your distant strikes ability wants you to spread out attacks. Your mobility options are amazing, but the subclass also seems to want to keep you at close range. And I get that this gives you options to play around and approach fights differently, but I wonder if it would have been more fluid to choose either one path or the other. I also think the fun of this subclass could depend a lot on what kind of game your DM is running. I could see this subclass working exceptionally well in planes hopping super adventures with tons of enemy variety, but you're not going to have much to do in like Waterdeep or Mines of Fendelver. So maybe I'd talk to your DM about how to get the most out of your abilities before choosing to see if it's worth investing in. But I can actually ignore all of that just for the flavor this subclass brings. I really like the idea of this guy finding a problem with all these portals popping up and making it their job to fix it. And I think that can lead to great roleplay with figuring out why creatures are winding up on the material or how to get them back, and in ways that don't always lead to a fight. You're a person with a task, and I think that gives you agency for character growth if you want to go down that path. But if you have trouble getting a bow through dimensional TSA, you've taken strolls through multiple planes and all you got was a lousy t-shirt and will drive your friends crazy talking about all your adventures in foreign lands and realms, we all like to travel, Darren, okay? We just have jobs. Shut up. Guess what? You might be a Horizon Walker. Hey guys, thank you all so much for watching. I have a Mark Twain quote that I'll slightly butcher, but I think it fits the theme of this video pretty well. He said, "The only thing fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness is travel, and those wholesome and charitable views of people cannot be acquired by vegetating in one corner of the earth forever." Luckily now with the internet, we don't always have to physically do that, but it's important to consider life hits many people differently, and meeting new people and having real conversations is the best way to create understanding. So go out and do that as much as you can. But that's all from me for now. I really hope you liked the vid, and you can like, share, or subscribe, or join the Patreon if you want to help me out. And to those top-tiered patrons, Miles Not Yard, Sora Sin, Tedsy Spider Lover, and King Osiris, you all are the best, and I can't wait to play our next game. But until next time, folks, I really hope you take care of yourself, and I'll see you very soon.